Hi, welcome back to Cooking with Canines at Old Tavern Farm. Today I had an idea of doing a vintage World War II recipe, which I'm still going to do. But as I was cleaning up and getting ready to show you guys that recipe, I started thinking, well, maybe people will be interested in how to prep ahead some meals, because right now we're in downtime, but pretty soon the crest of the wave is going to come back and we're going to be surfing. That's farm girl surfing right there. Things are going to get busy. Gardening's going to start. Summer's going to be here. 4th of July is coming. So we're going to get busy. So again, what I like to do, aside from use what we have, is I like to go ahead and have my meals waiting for me instead of me waiting for my meals. So what I like to do is use these aluminum foil we call them half pans in the business, because when you have a full pan, it's like this. So this is the size of a full pan in the business, and this is a half pan. So if you're looking for these on the store shelves or Amazon or any of these home delivery places, this is a half pan, quarter pan. They come in all sizes. I like the half pans because they just stack up nice and there's plenty of food, so I don't like anybody to go without. So I basically just set up my pans. I spray them lightly with pan spray, the little that I have left, and I have everything waiting for me. So what I did last night was I roasted off a turkey that my lovely company gave all our full-time employees a turkey for Thanksgiving. And so I roasted it yesterday and I broke it down and took all the meat off the bone, all the white meat, and I bagged it up in these nice freezer gallon bags. So that's for sandwiches and things like that. So I still had the carcass, the wings, and the Henry VIII drumsticks. So what I like to do is I like to take all my roast, anything with a bone, because bone stock and bone broth's really nutritious, a lot of flavor. And so what I do is I take and put them into my slow cooker. Now I've already picked all the meat off the legs and the Henry VIII drumsticks. So I just have the bones and the skin left. I've already done one simmering session with these bones. Then what I did was I picked all the meat. See all that yummy meat? All the meat off of those bones and set it aside. Then I put the bones back in the slow cooker, and then I'm going to put the rest of the carcass in with it, and I'm going to have a second and third session of slow cooking overnight in the slow cooker. And then I'm going to strain off the stock. So this is what I have for one meal. So I've got all my stock from last night separated out into two separate containers. We're going to do 2 recipes today, which is going to equal 4 meals for us. So we're going to do turkey noodle soup, and we're going to do turkey tetrazzini, and then we're going to pan them up and we're going to cover them in foil, and they're all going to have labels. You can see that everything's all labeled so that we know when we made it and what it is. We don't have to go rummaging around in the freezer. We can just come home from work, get it out of the freezer or put it in the fridge the night before, stick it in the oven, and boom, we have dinner. We don't have to worry about it. All the cleanup's already done too. That's the other great thing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken stock or our turkey stock. You can do chicken, pork, beef, whatever you have. And my vegetarian and vegan friends, use all of save the trimmings from your onions and your aromatics, your mushrooms, anything that you like. Save it in a Ziploc bag and then stick it in your slow cooker and do the same thing. Fill the slow cooker with water, put it on low, and let it sit overnight. So anybody can do this. So we're going to take this chicken stock and we're going to add just what I happen to have, elbow macaroni, okay, elbow pasta. And a little trick is to cook it, if you can see, it's still a little bit kind of tight looking. Don't cook your pasta all the way when you're cooking ahead. What we call it in the business is par cooking, okay? So par cook your starches. Pasta does really well in the freezer. So, and then just cover, you can kind of see it glistening a little bit. Cover it with a little bit of olive oil so it doesn't stick together. and just set it aside when you're making these meals. So you can cook everything ahead and have it waiting for you. Okay, so we're just gonna add our macaroni. That's so 50s, isn't it? Macaroni. Nobody calls it macaroni anymore. Pasta. It's pasta. Okay. But back in the day, we used to call it macaroni and noodles. Noodles. All right, so we're gonna add that. We're just gonna give it a little stir. And then we're gonna add a little bit of our, again, this is gonna go for 2 separate dishes. So we're gonna add half of this. And I like to pick through this with my fingers ahead of time just to make sure there's no bones. Those little tiny poultry bones can, you know, be like little tiny swords in there and toothpicks. Ugh. Nobody wants that in their back of their throat. Okay, so I'm gonna set the rest of that aside for our next dish. Give that a quick stir. And then we're gonna add in, I love one pot meals because they're quick, they're easy, and it's all said and done. So I'm a big believer in a protein, a starch, and a vegetable in every single meal so we can all stay healthy and all that good stuff. So what I've done is I took a partial bag of kale that I had frozen and chopped, and I added in a little garlic powder, pepper, and salt. And so I'm gonna just dump that right in there. Kale's super good for us, people. It's super easy to grow. It grows in colder climates and grows in hotter climates. I've lived in both climates. I've grown kale. It does great. Okay. So then I'm also going to add in about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And wipe my hands a little bit here. And then and that's all there is to it because everything's already in there. And the elbow pasta is part cooked, so once you get it in the oven, it's going to finish cooking. So it's going to absorb that turkey stock, and it's going to puff up a little bit. That's a technical term, puff up. And we're going to just dump half of it in one pan. And your liquid comes out first, so just separate that out first. Okay. Okay, spread that around. And sometimes with these dishes, I like to add a little bit of water back in, just especially with pasta. It'll fool you. This doesn't look like a lot of pasta, but once it finishes cooking in the final cook, when you get it out that night, when you've been running around at the bank all day with the kids, the doctor, and all the stuff you've got to do, I tell you, the idea that you can actually get stuff done without having to worry about a meal being made is really helpful. So you can just get your stuff done. Just add a little bit of water back into that, and there you go. And then when you stick it in the oven a month from now, it'll be all done. We're just going to cover it with tin foil. And let's see here. Okay, that's one. And then this is 2. Whoop. Lots of space, don't you? It's okay, because all you people in the big cities and those tiny city apartments, I feel ya. I live on 35 acres and I still don't have any space. That's okay. This is a vintage World War II kitchen. See? Notice the lovely vent cuts in there. Isn't that great? Character, people love character. Okay, so I'm gonna set these aside so I give myself a little more room to groove. All right. So boom, we have 2 meals already locked up right in the freezer. We're gonna stick it right in the freezer just like that. Because again, when we're back from school runs and bank runs and doctor runs and taking the dogs to the vet and all that stuff, we just have to take it, put it in the oven, turn it on 350, bake it for about 30 minutes, and you have dinner. All right, the second meal is going to be turkey tetrazzini. Same idea. We're going to take our bowl, and when I make stock, this is how I like to bag it up. I like to bag it up and put it in the freezer just like that. And then if I just want to use stock to flavor a sauce or add it to just plain steamed rice just to give it a little nutrition, I just get my bags out of the freezer and I just zap them in the microwave and I have my own homemade stock. So it's a great trick because it's not costing you anything. You just put it in the slow cooker overnight and you've got it. All right, so here is, what I did was I did a 1 pound box of elbows, 16 ounces. A pound is 16 ounces. And so 8 ounces of pasta in each dish. Trust me, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it'll really add up. 89 cents at Target. Super economical, right? Can't beat it. So put your stock in there. Add the second half of your, this is only 8 ounces of pasta, so it'll fool you. Really does cook up. Dried pasta cooks up amazingly large. All right. All right. So same base. Stock, pasta, turkey, wing meat, leg meat. Now to make this tetrazzini typically is mushroomy. So I went ahead and sauteed off the last of my mushrooms. The last of my mushrooms. Don't make more. Don't worry. All right. But I'm going to use those. And give that a stir. And I also had some leftover chicken cream of mushroom soup. I always like to have that on hand because it's just really good for everything. So I'm going to add that into it. Now, turkey tetrazzini, a lot of times they'll want you to put breadcrumbs on the top and like drizzle butter on it. Well, I don't have breadcrumbs, so I'm just going to leave that out, and I'm going to add a few other things in there to make it good. So we're going to stir that up, and sometimes you have to kind of break up the cream of mushroom soup, no biggie. Now, I usually like to put sour cream in this. Sour cream is good for everything. Mayonnaise, all that stuff. You can use mayonnaise, you can use sour cream, you can use anything you have. But what I happen to have on hand was, I don't know if people know this, but this fresh mozzarella is pre-sliced. We use this a lot in the business just for convenience sake and the fact that each portion is pre-done and they look nice. So I had this left over from a party that I had. So I'm just going to put about half of this log of mozzarella in there and stir it up. And a lot of times in tetrazzini, we like a little bit of alcohol. 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So here's my favorite go-to. Marsala. Marsala is wonderful. It's sort of dry. It's got a really nice sort of rich flavor. So I just put just the tiniest little bit in. I mean, you could use a tablespoon, but why use a tablespoon when you can use a beautiful cut crystal Scottish glass? Okay. So we're going to pour that in there. Look how pretty. And we're just going to put a little bit in there. Then for the cook. Cheers. And then if you don't have marsala, oh, that's so good. Oh. I like a good white wine, like a Gewürztraminer. It's a big long word, but it delicious white wine from the sort of Germanic region of Europe. That's delicious. Anything white, whatever you have, use what you have. So then we're going to just mix that in all together. And again, you can use whatever you have. Now I'm going to let the liquid pour in first, about half. Okay. That's about right. Okay. So scrape it, scrape it. Don't waste anything. And then I'm just going to spread it around in my pan. And because I have an extra log of mozzarella, I'm just going to go ahead and live in high cotton here and put the rest of this, put the rest of this right in there. This stuff's so great. It's fresh mozzarella doesn't melt like sort of shredded bagged mozzarella does that we know from like pizza parlors and things. So don't expect it to shred into the dish like your shredded pizza mozzarella would. But it's still really good and it adds a lot of flavor to your casseroles. You know what? There's a little extra. Don't be afraid to tippy and share the goodness with the other pan. That's about right. You want to try to have them be as equal as possible. So again, label your aluminum foil. Put it over here. Okay. So that is 4 meals in the can, waiting for you for April, May, June, whenever you're busy, and we're all busy. So stick these in the freezer and they'll be waiting for you. And once again, thank you so much for visiting me here at Old Tavern Farm. Big hugs, virtual hugs. Go make some meals. Thank you for visiting. Bye-bye.